This is Tim. This is book 1 for June 2020. We're working through it. Let's continue. Traps, obsessions, compulsions, and phobias. Excuse the noise. It's like a lot of things going on outside. These are complicated emotional syndromes or sets of symptoms. They are always linked to anxiety, and they may be considered as emotional traps that are almost impossible to escape without professional help. Sometimes they are linked to perverted anger, as is often the case with anxiety itself. Irrational sets of ideas, beliefs, and preoccupations may consist of one or more sets of peculiar thoughts. For example, my patient's obsessive thoughts about hurting her little son, compulsions, or inordinate, uncontrollable need to do something over and over again without apparent rationale, as well as phobias, irrational fears, often have many roots, but I have often found very long roots connected down to perverted anger. I remember a patient of mine who was terribly afraid, without apparent reason, of red trucks. This fear would be so great at times that he couldn't leave his house. The sound of a fire truck was enough to terrify him. And when he went to places with his wife, she sometimes guided him while he kept his eyes closed. She often became embarrassed because people, thinking he was blind, looked at them with obvious pity. Much psychoanalytic work, including a great deal of probing and investigating, revealed many personality and emotional problems. These were not easily solvable. This patient required many hours of hard work establishing insights and linkages regarding the past and present memories, attitudes, and feelings. Before he was relieved of what was becoming an increasingly paralyzing and painful symptom, like most psychiatric symptoms, this one was multifaceted. But one large facet or root involved an extreme fear of anger or angry impulses stemming from a very sick outlook regarding anger. What finally came out was that red equaled anger and that the truck represented instruments of aggression. Red trucks put this man in touch with his own angry feelings and impulses. Of course, he had a huge, potentially explosive slush fund, of which he was terrified. Not all fears are as well defined, developed, and destructive as the above. Many of us who have difficulties with anger are only vaguely aware of uneasy feelings at different times, or with certain people, or in certain circumstances. Not all of us need professional help, but with improved angry insight, we can all gain and grow and become easier, freer, and happier people. Let's see, should we go on to the next part? No, we'll stop there. The Angry Book, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I love it. It's been very beneficial to me at a time in my life when I was at a lot of bitterness and anger. I still have it, but I know how to manage it. And the people around me suffer somewhat when I started managing it better. But like I said, I had to empty my slush. And now I'm a little more balanced. And I noticed too, dealing with people that make you angry, they have no idea they're making you angry. And in my community, it's just they're so unaware of things that half the time I'm like, it's not even worth my time to tell you why what you're doing is making me angry, or why what you're doing doesn't make sense, or why what you're doing is going to make other people angry in the future. Because in my community, everybody gets defensive and tries to defend what I'm telling them. My objective in this understanding of what I'm telling them. So a lot of time I just withdraw and go about my business until they catch on. And sometimes it's 3 or 4 years later, sometimes it's 10 years later they catch on. Because I really don't have time to keep dragging people through their mental issues, unless they're on our platform, then they can work these things out. But in my personal time, I spend too much time producing for my multiple platforms, writing, producing, creating. So anyway, I want to thank you for supporting me. Never can be angry with you, and ask that you can take care of your mind, your body, and be safe.